Hello and welcome to this episode of Simply Saturday, where I get to show you a card that is fast and easy to make. My name is Julie and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. If you saw episode 30, we made a fast and easy card starting with a Stampin' Up! Note card and envelope. I was inspired by that whole card idea. And so you'll see today's card is similar in size, but we are going to make a different card today. So in episode 30, we started with a white note card and envelope. So I took my measurements from this. This is a 5x7 piece of cardstock. So today I'm starting with an evening evergreen piece of cardstock that is 5x7, and I have scored and folded it in the middle at 3.5. This is our note card size. Now, because of that size, I went ahead and used an envelope from the package of note cards and envelopes. That way it's the perfect size. Our regular white or vanilla envelopes are a little bit larger. That's for a more traditional card size, but this is a little bit smaller. This is a note card size. All right, so there's our piece. Then I have a piece of white cardstock that is cut down just a little bit smaller than our note card. So this is 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. This is going to be an inside panel. All right. What makes today's card fast and easy is that we're going to do an elegant looking note card with embossing. So we're using the photopolymer stamp set that's called Happiness Abounds. I'll be using the happy birthday stamp and one of the flower stamps. All right, so let's get started. I have my note card here that I created and have folded, and we're going to do some stamping. Now I'm going to use my Versamark ink and some white embossing powder. The first thing I'm going to do is take my embossing buddy and totally rub it all over the front of my note card. Now, it's very exciting because in our current July to December mini catalog, and this is 2022, there is a great embossing accessory packet, and it includes the embossing buddy, a couple of little tools, a brush, and also a tray. Now, some of those items I don't have here to show you, but I'm super happy that they brought that accessory pack out because the embossing buddy has not been available on its own for a little while, and now you can get it again. So I will make sure that I put that ordering information below in the description of this video so that you can find it, okay? All right, so I've taken the embossing buddy to the front of the card, and now I'm going to stamp. I'm gonna open this flat. I think it'll be easier for me to get straight. I'm going to stamp happy birthday, so I'm going to ink it up with my Versamark ink. And I'm going to go for kind of down in this bottom third and over to the right. That is the area I'm targeting. And then I'm going to use the little flower stamp also with my Versamark and just one single flower here, being careful not to touch that at all because that ink is wet. Now we'll take some white embossing powder, and I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of paper because I do not have that little tray here in front of me today. So my excess powder is just going to go onto this scratch paper. So now liberally I'm going to cover the words with my white embossing powder and my flower. And the reason I say liberal is because all this extra powder is going to go back into your container, so you're not wasting anything. All right, now I'm lightly tapping that off. I'm going to go ahead and take my excess embossing powder, put it back in my jar. And I'm actually going to add a teeny bit more. I want really good coverage on all of that wet ink. Okay, now you can see I've got some extra little bits of powder that are clinging to the card just a little bit. Not too bad because we used our embossing buddy. But what I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to flip this over my wastebasket can and just flick it to get the rest of those little bits off. All right, now you can see most of those are gone. At that point, you're going to want to take your little brush that comes in the embossing accessory kit, or if you don't have that, any soft little paintbrush will do. So I just have a generic paintbrush here, and I just go in and gently sweep away any other little bits of powder that might be on the card front, because once I heat this, those are going to melt and then they would look like white specks on my card. So I do want it as clean as possible, with all the powder removed except only where I want it. All right, now I'm going to use my heat tool to set this, which is going to, by process, actually cause the ink and the powder to melt together, giving me a raised, heat embossed image. So I am going to, let me see, this is going to be a little bit noisy, so just bear with me. It'll only take a couple of seconds. If you're new to heat embossing, here are a couple of tips. A lot of times my newer stampers will say, well, how do you know when it's done? So there's a couple things you can look for. When you first have the powder applied, after we tapped it off, before we used the heat tool, it looked very dry and chalky, like powder. What happens after you've used your heat tool and it's had a chance to melt together is it no longer looks chalky, but it looks glossy. So you can kind of look at it at an angle and see that it is now nice and smooth and glossy and does not look chalky anymore. Also, when using the heat tool, you may have noticed that I do move it around a little bit. Try to avoid just holding it in one spot, because you could actually scorch the paper and cause it to be a little bit discolored or warp a little bit. So when you are using your heat tool, you just kind of want to move it around a little bit. And once that image has been heat embossed, it is now safe to touch. Nothing's going to ruin it at that point. All right, so look at how simple but beautiful the front of our note card is. So because this is so simple and because it is a dark color, I do want to add an inside panel. And so this will make it easier to write my note, and also we're going to dress it up just a teeny bit. So on that white piece, I will use my Evening Evergreen ink, because we're sticking with just this one color, and just put one flower right there on the note card inside. Okay, and I can add that with some liquid glue to the inside of my card. And then again, if you saw in episode 30, I decorated the envelope so that our simple but elegant note card would just be a little bit elevated by having a nice fancy envelope. And so along the same lines, I'm just going to show you how we're going to decorate today's envelope in a fast way. We've got our Evening Evergreen flower here. And then all I'm going to do is put the same flower on the front of the envelope. Like so. And we have a very lovely, elegant note card. You could make this with a number of colors. I chose a rather neutral green and a dark color because, again, I think with the simplicity of it, I wanted it to still look elegant. I did the same card here in Night of Navy, which looks beautiful as well. So here it is in the Night of Navy. with a coordinating envelope. And here's the one that we completed this morning with our evening evergreen. So thank you so much for watching. As always, in the description below this video, you can click to open that up and there will be lots of information in there, including ordering information, the current host code, also some SaleABration information because SaleABration is still on through the end of August 2022. And then I will put some ordering links there for you as well. In the meantime, happy stamping, and I will see you next time. Bye.